30 years ago I had leukemia, and as a result of that I ended up with 2 hip replacements. And a secondary problem of chronic fatigue that's been with me for 30 years and has limited life in so many ways. My history with leukemia and stuff and chronic fatigue over the last 30 years sort of got worse when I got the coxsackie virus, just a weekend virus, flu virus, that completed the damage in my heart. So I'm down to that 25% margin with chest pain most of the time, and walking from here to the foyer would give me pain in the chest for about 3/4 of the way. So going to the walking meditation, I was thinking, maybe I'll just do a little walk. I haven't walked much in the last few months. So I had to stop 3 times on the way and sit down once, and when I finally got there I sort of sat down on the top of the dunes and just waited. And when we started off into that beauty, I walked about 40 meters and turned and stopped, and Joe's voice said, "And open your heart." And I nearly got knocked over backwards. And I was basically there for the rest of the meditation. I felt as I went over backwards that my head would hit the beach, but I felt my arms being held from beneath, and the sky turned orange, and a great eye appeared to see me. And I cried. I heard somebody shouting and realized it was me shouting and laughing and crying. So after that, I felt ecstatic, and I walked.
Oh, wait, don't bypass that. How are you feeling? Once energy makes it to the heart, where does it go? To the brain, and that's ecstasy.
And it's the most beautiful feeling in the world. And so as I walked back to the room, I managed to walk back to the room with no chest pain. And then today, well, I thought, this is going to be great. I'm going to have a great walk. And I stood early on the beach, no pain walking down to the beach. And I thought, I'm just going to be so grateful for this. And I looked around, and there's 700 people there, and I thought, all of these people here are going to put energy out for me. Thank you. And I thought, if I ever have a chance to walk into the future, today is the day. So I set off down the beach, and I just was barefoot. I haven't been barefoot on the beach in 20 years, and wandered, walked off down the beach with everybody else, and just kept walking and kept standing aside and thinking to myself, I'm still walking. And I just kept walking, and it seemed so far down the beach, and I thought, my God. And I stopped because that's what it was. And we stood and we thought of our heart, and Joe said, open your heart, and I did. And we started walking again, and I walked as my future self. through the water. And I walked overtaking other people. And the waves hit me and they didn't knock me over, which happened a few days ago at Noosa. 2 minutes in the water. And I went up the beach and I just kept going. And then I thought, I've done enough. But there was this thing inside me that said, you want the future, you've got to keep going for the future, and that means you've got to keep going. So I kept going, and my breath started with the, and I thought, well, I'll do Joe's breath.
He didn't go unconscious, at least.
And I followed my heart up the beach, and I went past where we started, and I went further up the beach, and I heard that we were allowed to lie down, and so I looked for a spot and lay down, thought this is my spot. And I thought, that is the most wonderful experience I've ever had. And what could be more than that? That is exactly what I came for. I wanted to be able to walk without pain again. And there I'd just done it. And I lay on the beach and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And all of a sudden, Joe says, just open your heart. And my heart went.
I saw this.
And I started making sand angels. My heels were drumming in the sand and my hands were banging, and I was up on my heels and the back of my head, and I'm up on the heels and the back of my head.
And then somebody yelled.
And then someone's yelling and shouting at me, and I thought, well, that doesn't, I'm going to do it anyway, bugger it. And I realised it was me shouting, but, and I can't remember whether I was laughing or crying because I was doing both, and it was ecstasy. Ecstasy. And here I am.
Now, I was watching him, you know. If you were a bystander that wasn't in this work and you saw him laying on the sand there and his body, that energy was moving through his body, it was having its way with him. Now, this seems like a very conservative, educated man, and he's losing control down there. I mean, he doesn't care what you think of him in that moment. He's not even aware of you. He's so caught up in the ecstasy. He's so caught up in the feeling that he doesn't care what he looks like. He's beyond his ego in that moment, and his heart literally is conducting energy into his nervous system. And he's getting a biological upgrade every time it happens. And when it happens, it's over time, every time, eliminating more of his past. And if all disease is a lowering of frequency and an incoherent message, he's getting a new frequency, a coherent frequency, to begin reorganizing his nervous system. And of course, his body's going to be able to move through space a lot easier, because when this center opens, it's a different consciousness than these centers down here. It's a ruler of those. And everything below it begins to become more organized. And this is where he lives from now. And that feeling then that he has is oxytocin. And oxytocin signals nitric oxide. And nitric oxide signals derived endothelial relaxing factor. And the arteries in his heart are just blowing wide open. And his heart's getting all the oxygen, all the blood, all the nutrients it needs to heal. And his autonomic nervous system is processing a greater frequency. It's happening to him. Do you understand? He's not doing it. He reached the point where he got so into it that his autonomic nervous system started to facilitate and support or endorse exactly who he was being. That's all it does. It just endorses who you're being. And he hit gold today. He hit gold yesterday. But he hit gold today because when he finally laid down and was so satisfied with himself, so appreciative and thankful for the moment, just for what he experienced, that his prayer was, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And gratitude is the ultimate state of, and gratitude opens what? And watch out now, because now he's going to process even a greater frequency. And his body is a conduit, his nervous system's a conduit, and his body's got to be able to process this elevated energy. And it finds blocks. It finds areas that it can't move through. And if he could, just like he did, started surrendering to it, didn't care, just kept surrendering to it, and it moved through him. He's being baptized by the divine in that moment. He's getting a biological upgrade in that moment, and all he did was take a walk on the beach. Isn't he beautiful?
This is called having a life. So am I going to do the work? I don't think there's any other work. I'm quite happy to do this just forever. And it's marvellous when you get there. It's just so worth it. Being in that bliss state is just beautiful. Beautiful.